Hey friends, thanks for joining me for Illustration Masterclass on this fine Friday, wherever you are out there in this beautiful world. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about drawing as we always do. Today we're going to focus on stylization, stylized drawings. How far can you push reality? That is the big question we ask ourselves today, and we're going to explore some of that in this 1 hour that we have to share together. To be precise, about 57 minutes, not quite an hour. Let's see what we can get done. So I'm going to head over to Photoshop, and we'll see that we have a little putty tad here. We got a cat. All right, now we all know what a cat looks like. Of course, there are different kinds of cats, but a cat is a cat, and this is obviously a photograph, okay? Well, the beautiful thing about illustration is that you can take something photographic, you can take something we all know from reality, and you can stretch and pull and bend and completely distort reality, and yet somehow you can still convince the viewer, the audience, that what you have created is in fact a representation of this real thing. Now, the beautiful thing about our imaginations is that we can go on that journey with you. We can see something that we know is definitely not a cat and still believe that it is one. For example, let's take a look at all of these cats, and I put that in quotation marks. On the left, here is our subject matter. Here is the source of inspiration for these many varied interpretations that you see here before you. Felix the cat. Now, the reason I start with Felix is because if you're going to take a cat and cartoonify it, I think that this is getting the closest to the source of inspiration, that you don't have to really convince anybody too much by looking at it that this is a cat. You can say, it's a cat, and they say, sure, I'll buy that. And the reason is simply because of the silhouette of the head and the general proportion of where things sit and so on. Okay, the body, of course, is very much a cartoonified humanoid body with the hands and everything, but we've got the tail there and so on. Okay, so it's a stretch, but not too much of a stretch. And what I want to do in a moment is we're going to first look at all of these examples and talk about them, but then we're going to break it down to stylistic choices, okay, that the artists have made, and then see if we can do our own demo drawing from another subject and try and incorporate some of that thinking into making that happen with our own illustrations, okay? Let's move on here. Now, this, if I were to tell you this is a cat, this is Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy. If I were to tell you this is a cat, you might really have to stretch your imagination to believe that. And the things that are going to give it away, okay, now if we look over here at our subject, our source, okay, and look at the head of a cat, one of the things you're going to see is that, in fact, you do have this kind of a mouth that breaks, all right, from a vertical line down from the nose. Now, there's, of course, a biologic or scientific name for this kind of mouth. You see it in rabbits and other rodents and other mammals as well. So the thing that we're able to do with Stimpy is say, okay, well, I guess I'll give you that, right? We've got that little mark right there, and I guess maybe that's gonna be enough for me to buy that this is a cat. Apart from that, there's no way on earth this nose is in any way similar to a cat's nose. Okay, if we look at the shape of a cat's nose, okay, that's basically what we're looking at there. This is that shape. It's like a T, right? And then if you look at Stimpy's nose, well, it's just a giant circle. Now with Felix the cat, at least size-wise, it was about right. Okay, and we've accepted circles as noses for a long, long time, and that's fine. But looking at Stimpy's nose, I mean, are you kidding me? And then, of course, silly cartoon eyes, which, of course, we're also going to see here. And then you're going to get the ears off to the side here. Now, look how small they are, okay? And look how far off to the side they are sitting on the head. Again, with Felix, we're a lot closer to what you see in our source material here, all right? But with Stimpy, I mean, they're just completely different, completely different. Now the shape, granted, is, you know, pretty cat-like, right? That's an acceptable sort of a cat-shaped ear, I'll give him that, okay? But the location, the scale, all right? And then, I mean, the tongue, all right? Now, when we bounce over to build a cat, we get some other silly tongue action as well. But really, this is just so uncat-like, and we're not used to seeing that. The cartoon gloves, those have been around forever. But look at the body. Look at this ridiculous sort of beanbag kind of body that blends right into the head. All right, this is also very, very weird. All this stylization, and yet when they tell us that Stimpy is a cat, by the way, if you've ever seen Ren and Stimpy, you also know that Stimpy basically has no tail. None to speak of anyway. Might be a little nub or something, I can't remember, but we've really got to stretch it to believe that this is a cat. And still, it works. It's a cartoon, it's a drawing, and this character really comes to life on screen, and we just accept that it's a cat based on other things. Okay, the behavior of the character, always in the litter box, and licking off the fur and creating fur balls, hacking up fur balls and things like that. So let's go to a really, really pared down, simplified representation of a cat here. Now, this kind of visual language is so much harder to achieve than you may think. At first glance, you think, oh, sure, that's really simple, isn't it? Well, it's just a few lines, some really basic shapes based on simple primitives, no problem. Round off all the corners, and you've got a successful design. Well, hold on a minute. You know, this could be a mouse. It could be some other kind of animal, right? But there's something about the exact proportions here, all right, that immediately we just jump to cat. Some of that, of course, having to do with whiskers, all right? Now, I want you to look at where a cat's whiskers are. Okay, so we've got a lot of them here, right? This is part of stylization, is knowing where to simplify and where to pare down. All right, if you look at the number of whiskers on each side, we're looking at least 10 to 12 whiskers there, okay? No joke. And then another bunch on this side, okay? And then we've got them popping up right here above the eyes, right? So a lot of whiskers to deal with. And when we look at Felix, none whatsoever, okay? None on Stimpy, Stimson J Cat. But here we got this really simple 3 and 3 design with Hello Kitty, okay? And if anybody's ever seen Garfield, just draw a quick Garfield here for you, then you know that Garfield's got, now, Jim Davis, don't come after me, okay? This is just for educational purposes. I'm not making any money from this, all right? I don't want you to, nobody's trying to get in trouble here. We're just doing a demo. All right, so if you look at Garfield, the stripes, the whiskers are like up here, okay? So again, no cat has whiskers just sticking out the side / back of their head, okay? But that's just how they're drawn, and we immediately go to, oh, cat, because of the whiskers, right? That's just one of those little symbols that you can use. It's symbology, right? So very effective. No mouth whatsoever. If I do this, uh-oh, it's not even the same design, right? What if I do this? Not the same either. So we just eliminate the mouth. But there's something about these proportions and about that shape of the head there. If I were to just isolate this shape, okay, and then remove that from the equation, stick it right there. If I show you this silhouette by itself, you say cat, okay? And that's one of the successful things about this design. Anywhere you go from here, you're set, because the silhouette is doing the work. So I could take the eyes and put them closer together like this and put the nose down here, and you could still say cat, okay? Especially if I do this. All right, now we can do what we want with this body. We can make it a triangular shaped body with little feet like that. And then just add that tail, and you can still say cat. All right, so that's how far you can stretch. It's knowing what needs to be there and what you get rid of, etc. Okay, what do you keep? What do you get rid of? So now we're going to really stretch it here. We're going to bounce over to build a cat. But, you know, looking at build, this is actually less of a stretch, in my opinion, than with Stimpy. And this is by Berkeley Breathed here. If you look at the design of Build a Cat, what we're doing is taking elements from the real source material, and we're just changing the sizes. of them. That's really all that's going on here. So if you look at this, I don't know what these are called, these like chunky bits right here under the cat's nose. So anybody out there who's got cat anatomy worked out and knows what to call that, let me know. Don't be sorry, Barbara, for being late. What's up, Umacorn Afroha? And Gary, what's up, Gary? Cryo and Scott, hello, hello. Call the police. Yes, Scott, great quote from Ren and Stimpy. Walrus protectors. Marie, nice to see you. Clarissa, and hello, hello. Caroline, what's up, everybody? Mel, nice to see you as well. Scott, Scott, Mustafa, nice to see you. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining. Steve, I'm glad you're all here. Cody Bear, etc. Bill was a mess. Yes, Bill was a mess. RB, hello. Thank you for joining in. All right, so yeah, so if you look at Bill, okay, what you're going to see is these little things, whatever they are, okay? What's happening is the artist is just enlarging, okay, that little section under the nose with these things that hold the whiskers. I don't know what you call it. It's the upper part of the mouth there, okay? And then the nose is teeny tiny, right? Of course, you got, again, the ridiculous cartoon eyes. Tongue, again, completely unexpected, very funny. But if you really pay attention, the location of the ears here is actually pretty darn close to our source material. If I take these ears and put them out this way, okay, flatten those ears down, you still got a cat. And that's all he's doing. He's just taking those ears, flattening them down a little bit, popping them off over here, but they're pretty much in the right location. As far as whisker accuracy, there are more whiskers in Bill the Cat, so it's actually closer to the source material than any other representation, okay, because of the whisker locations and the number. Obviously the body, completely not cat-like, but we do have a tail, right? We do have a tail. And then you get to Sylvester. Now here, again, look at this nose. That's insane, okay? And they don't bother with this little division here, okay, between the right and left side of that upper part of the mouth, right? But we still get that cat shape because the mouth curls upward, right, on both the left and the right side, and that's enough for us to say cat. You know, if you're gonna do this, right, that works. Looks like a cat, okay? And that's what they're doing with Sylvester. But look at this design. Okay, we basically have a giant triangle shape for a head, okay? And that is definitely not what you observe at all when you look at a cat. What you get with a cat is almost a circle, okay? And then these triangles sitting off to the side, right? But that shape, right, you could take that and do this. You can make it a little smaller on the ear side, right? You can squish it up or down, and it's going to be cat-like enough. We already looked at what happens when you do the Hello Kitty head, okay? And that's enough to say cat. But look over here at Sylvester. This shape is insane, right? But it's the mouth, and again, I would argue that the ears are doing a lot of the heavy lifting here in terms of communicating cat to us. We're also familiar with this design, so we go with it. You know, we go with it because we've seen it for so many years. But here, you do get a little claws, okay? The nails, the claws. And that definitely goes a long way towards communicating what this is. And then, of course, the length of the tail is just about right for a cat as well. So that's going to help. And then the coloration as well. You know, where they have the separation of white to black, the little feet, paws, right? This part of the face here, etc. But if I were to just show you that silhouette, if I were to do this, okay, let's do this. And if I just say that, okay, what animal is that? No one's gonna say cat, all right? That does not have that same silhouette as a Hello Kitty head. And yet, we go with it, okay? So these are all cats. So, you know, as far as illustration goes and character design and things like that, you really can take something like this, right? And you can push it in all kinds of directions, and we as a viewer will still go with you on that ride and accept at the end that it is a cat. In fact, a lot of times we'll just go ahead and assume it's a cat without you having to tell us that. And I would say with Felix, for sure that's the case. With Hello Kitty, that's the case. And maybe with Sylvester. Bill the cat, bit of a stretch. Stimpy, huge stretch. But we're willing to go there with you because of that. Now, if you look at, and if you flip this around and go the other direction, okay, let's do this. All right, now, this is a bit crazy. Here is a young boy, okay, young Caucasian boy. This is what he looks like, okay? And here is Charlie Brown. All right, so we are totally cool with this. And we go, yeah, that's a kid, and I'm fine with I'm fine with this location of nose to eyes, even though this is impossible, right? Totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with this massive gap, right, between the nose and the mouth. I'm fine with everything sitting above the ears, even though we know with our anatomy that anybody who's watched my classes about this, where should things line up, right? Unless he's looking completely upwards, right? Even this kid who's looking slightly upwards, you're going to get between the nose and here. If you just, this is going to give you the tilt to the head. So if he were tilting his chin down just a little bit, you'd get everything to line up right there. Okay, so that's what we expect for our alignment. Doesn't matter with Charlie Brown. We don't even pay attention to it. We're totally fine with that. Yeah, everything here is ridiculous. So Tim O'Brien, amazing painter. Look what he did. He just said, okay, well, what if I go the other way? I go from the illustration towards the real, right? So he took this super cartoonified, stylized illustration and then did a sort of realistic, painterly interpretation of it. And gosh, is that disturbing. I mean, how disturbing is this? You don't see any whites of the eyes. Eyes are located right next to the nose, gigantic gap. All these things that we see here represented by the actual cartoon. And yet there's nothing here that's disturbing at all. But this is freakish. This is scary stuff, right? Really funny little exercise that he did there. And it makes you wonder, why are we so comfortable with going in one direction but not in reverse? That doesn't really work, does it? But that's just the way it is, gang. So yeah, here's the real. This is the Inspirato, okay? Here's the interpretation that we're cool with. Go the other direction, and man, does that look disturbing and horrible. It's horrific. Great painting, though, so bravo, Tim. All right, now, let's pause for a moment, see if we have any questions. That last image is creepy, says Claire. Exactly, it's very, very, very creepy. The hair is the best on Charlie Brown. Yeah, it's very weird, isn't it? Yeah, like an alien RB. I agree. I like Sylvester too. Umacorn. Loved watching Looney Tunes as a kid. Still think it's an amazing masterpiece of a cartoon series. So let's see. And okay, no questions here. I see Gary throwing a little French in there in the chat. That's nice. All right, what's up, Peter? Thanks for joining us. Okay, folks, if you're watching over on YouTube, remember that I'm following the chat over on Behance, be.net/live. Okay, that's where you can find the live chat where I'm responding to people's questions and comments. Alrighty, so yeah, well, there you go. So we've looked at some examples of stylization within the cats in one direction and the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little photo, and we're going to see what we can do to push things for you here. All right. So what I'm going to do is get a photo of a turtle, okay? And we're going to take a look at that turtle, and we're going to make a illustration based on that turtle. Here's our turtle. Okay, this is our source material. This is what a real turtle looks like. Okay, and let me just switch over to a pencil here. I'm going to use something else. Let's see, I'll go into the Winter 2022 brush set and grab this tilty pencil variant. So I like drawing with that pencil. You all can see that pretty nicely. All right, so if we look at the real source material and we look at the head of a turtle, okay? I'll zoom in so you can see that head there. The things I want to look at are the general shape of the head, which is this kind of a thing, okay? We've got a nice little break right there for the mouth, goes up, down, up, and down again. So it's kind of got this nice situation like that. Eyes are about this big, right? Got some wrinkly bits around the eyes. Boom, 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 boom. And teeny tiny little nostrils right there up around the nose. And there we have our sort of general turtle shape. Got some wrinkly stuff happening here. And then we get into the shell. And off you go. All right, now, looking at that general shape, okay, what are some things you can do? So let's talk about stylization. One thing you can do is you can compress. All right, so if I go and take whatever I'm looking at and I compress in this direction, I can take this head shape and I can stretch it out, okay, and simplify this way. There you go. Now, right off the bat, you could look at that and still say, okay, cool, turtle. So I've just taken it and I've just stretched it, okay? Another thing I can do is I can take the location of things and I can move them even closer to the front, right? So these eyes are set pretty far forward. So I could take this and evolve this, okay, into something like this. I can go even more stretchy. And I can take this curve here and just curve it even more. And then I can take the eyes. The eyes are quite large, so I could make them even bigger. So I could do this. Still keep that little nose up there. And that can be another interpretation, okay? So we're taking something that is real, okay? And we are starting to put our own spin on it by simplifying the design, okay? With some pinching from top to bottom, some enlargement of the eye here, and taking this area here and simplifying it just to one curve, right? Now, can we do that from different angles? Can we say, yeah, let's make sure we understand this from different angles? There's that eye. So now I'm thinking about this from a 3/4 view kind of perspective, okay? And that is the result of that. All right, so far we've got something that still has, it's definitely grounded in reality, but we're taking what we've observed from reality and we're starting to design it in such a way that we are using simple shapes. We are taking natural features that we observe and we are enlarging those features if they are a little larger than usual, and if they're smaller than normal, we can shrink them down, right? Forgot to put those little nostrils in there. It makes a big difference right there. But we've got now already a slightly stylized version of the real. Okay. Now we haven't yet addressed any of the other parts of the body here. Okay. But one of the things you see people do is, of course, they will anthropomorphize animals by extending their limbs if they're shorter and giving them points of articulation that don't necessarily exist, elbows and knees and things like that, to allow them to move in a more humanistic, is that the right word? More human way, I should say. And do things like change their posture so that, you know, normally we see a turtle on all fours like this, but to be able to take that turtle and stand it upright, okay, you have to do things like that. But you can still retain some elements of what you observe from the turtle, all right? And one thing you see is the foot of the turtle, and then the way that this is shaped right here, okay? Now we also know that if you were to have this arm extend, okay, it would have to be extending from an area that's thinner, and then you can see it kind of broadens out here. Right, and I'm starting to exaggerate already. So what happens if I do that? I take this head that I've designed and I go ahead and we'll simplify that even further with that eye, okay? Because that eye's got a lot of dimension to it, but we really want to cartoonify things. So we're going to go from here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and this is 3B. Just taking that same idea, changing the angle, trying to understand it in 3 dimensions. Scott, this might be the best advice I've ever heard on illustration. Oh, thanks. I don't know what specifically I said that was good, but I love the comment. Thank you. All right, so let's keep it going. All right, what do we do now? We take this and we start to build out a body for it. Okay, so I'm just going to take this same starting point, move it over here. Whoops. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to knock that down in opacity so that I can draw over it. And this is really an important thing to do. If you're drawing traditionally, use tracing paper to make your life easy. But see if you can trace over stuff to use cleaner lines to really understand what you're doing. Okay, so I can just do this. We can have this mouth overlap a little and simplify to just this one curve here, and then come straight back. Whoops, straight back. Okay, and this becomes our new sort of shape here. And then for the eye, we're just going to do this. We're just going to go 1, 2, and have this be this giant shape here. Like that. We're not going to show the rest of the iris on the inside edge. We'll just have it 1, 2, like that. Okay, so we go really simple there. We move the nostrils up just a hair. Okay, so that's more turtle-like. And then we've got to simplify these other shapes that we see. Okay, so let's go. We see this nice curve. Okay, so we have the head there, and then we curve around it and come down. Okay, and up and over. So we can go up, straight, and back like this, and then just connect around the back. All right, and then for the rest of we have the under shell. I'm not sure what you call that, but we've got that last little bit there. Okay, now here, I can bring out that leg like I've shown you here. Okay, I can erase away a bit of this and see if I need to make some room for that. I'll have that leg come forward. 1, 2, 3. Really simple. 1, 2, 3. And in we go. Okay. The other one can be tucked back. 1, 2, 3. And out the back, we can't really see what's happening there, but we can elongate there, do what we want with that, right? Because we are the author of this. We can change these shapes however we want. Okay, another foot back there. Oops, we forgot the underside of the shell, so we just gotta sneak that in there. Sneak in that underside of the shell. And throw that other foot in there. All right, so we're starting to really get down to simplifying, but I mentioned anthropomorphizing, and we want to take that and we want to take this turtle and we want to move it upright, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of this, all right? And then we're going to blend this into our little collection here. We'll say 4. That's a step 4. We'll take all of this and we'll just shrink it on down. Slide it up here. We can see our sort of evidence of where we've been. Okay, I don't care about that. Take our source material, push it over here. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to go from here. We want to anthropomorphize. Am I saying that word right? And we want to take this head now, this head design, and we want to sort of make it so that we have a neck, okay? And then we can sort of design the head to fit on the neck, okay? So I can do this. Just kind of curve down. And that's now just that simple shape. Now I see the mouth going quite a ways back. I kind of want to bring that back in. So I'm going to make that go further back in my design. Okay. And we'll make these eyes even more enormous. And I don't even need that pupil. I can do this. Okay. So we go into that. And then we treat this area where they can retreat into their shells as more sort of just a kind of a collar almost. Little section that we reveal there, and we wrap the front shell around it. Okay, or should I say the bottom shell? Not sure what else to call that. And there we go. Okay, and now I'm free to have those arms be a little bit longer here. Okay, so arm 1, 2, 3. Arm. 1, 2, 3. And another change I want to make here is I want to give them hands. I want them to be able to grip stuff. So what do? I can take this and just add a little thumb, opposable thumb. Okay, so that's going to help with that design. We just take this and simplify that design like so. And we add the back shell. One, two, three. 1 foot. And another foot right there. Okay, so we've gone from this to this. Okay. All right, now we'll shrink that down. You can see our little evolution here. Gotta get me a Cintiq, says Peter. Yeah, the Wacom Cintiqs are amazing. For sure. No doubt. No doubt. You know, you can buy them refurbished. I always get refurbished ones. Makes my life so much easier because I'm still getting the same quality device, but for a lot less money. So there's your tip of the day for materials, okay? Let's move on. So now what are we going to do? So we've got our style. Look, we've gone from here's a sort of drawing that really feels like the thing, okay? Then we go ahead and we simplify that down. We elongate a little bit, and then we're going to take that eye and enlarge it, push that forward, okay? And we keep that large eye. We start to simplify the shape more. We turn that mouth into just one simple curve. We leave that. We enlarge the eye even more, and we push the eye into a more stylized, cartoonified representation there. Did we delete or erase or eliminate completely the pupil? Of course, in this case, you notice what I did was I got rid of those nostrils too. We don't really need those, do we? Don't really feel like those are necessary. We've changed the neck so that we now have room for the head to bend and come forward, and then have the body be standing upright. Okay. And now this frees us up to start playing even more with these shapes. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to go here, and we're going to curve. From here, we're going to curve up and over. Okay, curve up and over, and really just make that one curve down to the neck like this. Okay. And we'll leave this mouth treatment for now. So it's a long S curve, okay? And then we're gonna go like this. We're gonna do a jaw and straight back. See that? Ba-boom. So 1, 2. And that's a nice design right there. I'm gonna take the eye and stretch it like this. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. Look at this. We're going to start to add expression with a little bit of a brow there. See that? That adds expression. We'll thicken that neck up a bit. And we'll change this shape here. We're going to eliminate this section here. We don't need it. Let's keep simplifying, keep knocking things back we don't need. Go straight down, we'll go up here, and we'll come straight down from there. We'll break that here. And that's going to give me more room to have those legs come out. Okay, I'm gonna make the legs a bit beefier, add a bit more shape. Alrighty. And let's add some shoulders. Okay. Like so. shell in the back. All right, now by now you must be figuring out what I'm doing, right? By now, this should be pretty obvious. What are we doing? What are we doing? Well, let's go to the final step here. Let's see how we got from our source material to a Ninja Turtle. How did we do this? Hopefully, this process was pretty clear. Okay, we go to 2 and 1, so we're going from the 3 and 1 to the 2 and 1, since we only have, I believe it's, oh no, there are 4 little claws there, but you know what, we're just gonna simplify even further. We're gonna go 2 and 1. Okay, that's what we're doing here. And we're taking this shell design here, we're like, it's giving a little hexagonal kind of thing going on there. Keep it nice and geometric. Okay, wrap around there. Take this and broaden that out this way. But this is, hopefully you can see like how we're able to go through this process, okay, to arrive at something as crazy if you think about it, but super cool, as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Okay, this is the process. If you distort from reality, if you stylize and push from reality, observe the real thing, okay, observe reality, and start to distort and push based on those observations, draw the real thing. And obviously I'm doing this in an extremely accelerated way because we only have so much time together, okay? But to be able to then, you can imagine sort of the evolution of something like a Build-A-Cat, you know, or a Hello Kitty, or whatever it happens to be. right? It's not that hard to figure out how that came to be. You're studying the real thing, and then you start to figure out, what do I need to leave in place for someone to be able to say later, I know what that is, without losing the source material, okay? And even then, you know, like we see with something like Stimpy, you know, we get told, hey, this is a cat, and we accept that, you know, even though it's totally insane. All right, so there, now we can do a more cleaned up version of it. We got our sketch, and we go into the mega pack, and we just grab, let's see, that might work, Belgian Comics. The rat gave them drugs, that's how it happened. Yeah. Yeah, Scott, good point about animation. Now you want pizza, Sasunicorn, but can you drive a steamboat? Haha, that's what Mickey did. Let's see, any more comments? Scott, take care. Thanks for watching. Okay, so let's clean it up. In just enough time, we will have gone from an observation of a turtle, and I can do this just to really get specific. And now here, it's interesting because, you know, we made these choices earlier about things we wanted to keep, but we still can eliminate things. You know, like the eyes, they do this all the time in these superhero masks where somehow you don't see eyes, you just see a white shape. And we're all cool with that, even though it makes no sense how that works. We're all just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I reserve the right to change my design at any point. Kevin Eastman, Jim Laird, my apologies. Again, this is just done for instructional purposes, not trying to infringe on your copyright. I'm not going to be selling this or anything. This is just to demonstrate to the audience how we can go from reality to stylization. And it's a good thing to know. It's a good thing to to try. Pick an animal. Folks watching out there, pick an animal and see what you can do with stylizing it. How far can you push reality before you basically lose the thing you're representing? And you know, people give up on you and go, no, I'm sorry, I just can't go with you on this little conceit that is a toucan or whatever, right? And I hope that, you know, a toucan is an animal that somebody out there tries, because they're pretty great for stylizing. They're like stylized already with their massive beaks. You know, you really can't do worse for a starting point than a toucan. Gosh, pretty fun animal to start with. Oops. I need to think about this shell. There we go. Something like that. Maybe you could add a little nostril still. You know, that doesn't hurt. You can bring things back, things that you've eliminated. You know, nobody's there saying to you, well, once you've gotten rid of something, it can never come back. No, you know, you're the artist. You decide, okay, what needs to be there and what is filler, so to speak. That is totally your choice, your decision. You have that power. Of course, now I want to get picky with like shadows and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll really be here all day. That'll probably be a problem, so I'll just leave them out for now. But those kinds of decisions I have to eventually start making, I'm sure, drawing like this, although maybe not. So we've got just a couple seconds left here, and what I want to do is see if there are any questions in the chat from anybody watching. Hi, O'Dary. Thanks for joining us. You're joining right at the end, I'm sorry to tell you, but you can always watch these back. You can always watch these back. Okay? Not to worry. Yeah, I mentioned a toucan just a second ago. Really. How can you mess up with an animal like this? You know, that's kind of all there is to it. So you can do what you want with that body. Go for simple shapes. Yep, that works. You don't have to do much with a toucan. So if you want to challenge yourself, try something like a bear, which has been done many times. We've seen many versions of bears. You know what? You can even try a cat. Since we started with that and we looked at examples of how people have stylized a cat. All right, so to review quickly, we went from here. Okay, observing the turtle, drawing the head, moving that to the side, and then stretching a little bit, simplifying a bit, enlarge the eye, simplify the mouth a little more, okay? try 3/4 view to better understand what we're drawing. Simplify arms and legs and elongate a little bit. Simplify shell. Simplify eye some more. Simplify eye some more. We eliminated the nostrils. We made the mouth into a simple S curve. That happened here. We stood it upright, elongated the limbs. Okay, simplified this whole area. And then, of course, we went all out and added all the extra goodness. And now you have a Ninja Turtle. Okay? And that's how you do it, folks. Well, there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. And have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Remember to be kind. And I'll say ciao for now.